fucked that up. Damn.
You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Mick, Alex, I Yield to No One,
Steve.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Trophy Horse episode 342. I am your host this week, Alex, because Tricky is in Boston with the goddess and their lovely little pooch. I'm not going to say the name because I think it's a terrible name for a dog. I'm sorry, Steven. But I'm joined by some very awesome fellows this week, one of which I've kind of already introduced and apologized to at the same time. Steven's back.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? Oh, it's good to be back. Glad things finally worked out, and it's all because of WrestleMania.
All because of the wrestling. Well, actually, you did an NDS takeover of Trophy Horrors a couple weeks ago with Andy, so you were kind of doing that for us while we were all away.
We did our thing. It was fun. We had a good time, and I hope the listeners enjoyed it.
And speaking of something that listeners always enjoy, it's the guy who brings the awesome. It's I Yield to No One.
I was going to make a North American Championship reference, and I couldn't quite put it all together, so I failed.
It's a reference to the new NXT title.
Yes.
We might have a few wrestling references in this one, given it's WrestleMania weekend, and Yield and I are both going to watch it tomorrow, so be prepared
as am I.
for that.
The hype is real.
Exactly, in Nolans.
Nolans.
Well, let's get you guys updated with our trophy counts. Tricky, since he's not here this week, I'll read his off. He's level 34, total trophy count of 8,913, and a platinum count of 87. I'm assuming his trophies are updated. I'm at level 30. I have 6,551 trophies, and a platinum count of 96 trophies and 96 games. Don't expect my trophy count to rocket up too much as I'm trying to slash and claw my way through Bloodborne over the next 7
God
years.
God bless you, sir.
Yeah, I've now made it to the 6th boss, so I'm making
God,
progress very slowly. Yield, what's your trophy count?
So I'm a level 25, and I'm really close to 26. I think I'm at like somewhere between 92 and 96%. Trophy count of 5006. Yes, I have finally broken the 5,000 barrier. And still holding steady with a platinum count of 75.
Sir Steven?
Indeed. Level 14, 1,826, and 5 platinums.
And Sid, his trophy count is level 31, total trophies of 6,892, and a platinum count of 107. Sid's count might not be accurate because I do not believe we updated from the last count, but I'm sure that he's just killing it as always as the trophies go. So, look forward to another episode of Sophie's Trophies this week with Sid coming up later. Before we get to that, we've got some news to hash out. It's PAX and everything. But, we've also been playing some video games, as we do. It's our hobby. So, fellas, Steven, I'm going to go to you first.
Ooh, all right, cool.
What have you been playing?
All right, so it's been a while since I've been on the show, so I'll try and condense the last few weeks because it's interesting. So my wife begged me to play Overcooked with her finally on PS4. I had bought it for the two of us to play, and we never played. Finally, we sat down and played. Played for a couple of days there. Really enjoying it. Really tough, not easy. But I know that's old news. But there were some interesting fights in the Fontana household.
I will say, Steven, that I have Overcooked as well, and I got through most of the games single player. But like to get 3 stars in a lot of them, you need the help of another person, and
yeah,
it's just I've gotten to a certain point where I can't even get 1 star on them. So I'm kind of
I could never imagine soloing. I tried it once, but hopping between the two, I can never do it. It's impossible for me. But my wife's good at those types of games. Like she likes the cooking games on the phone and stuff, and she liked Cooking Mama and stuff. So she's good with that stuff. And I manage the restaurant, so I know all about the pressure in the kitchen. So Monster Hunter World, been playing the hell out of that. I think I'm hovering around 50 hours in now. No, that's not a lot compared to a lot of the players out there, but definitely enjoying my time with that. Just going through the story, and then when my other half of Nintendo Dual Screens jumps on with me, he helps me go through some of the harder things, which is a cool thing that you can do with your friends. Like, he come in and help you, even though he's super high level. He's like, I think he's close to like level 50, and I'm like 10 or 11 or 12 or something like that. So it's a lot of fun. Been playing my Switch mostly. Other than that, yeah, I think that's about it for me.
Very nice. Yield, what have you been cracking away at, sir?
So I have just been, I finished up Frozen Wilds last weekend, and been playing a lot of Saints Row the Third.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I feel like I'm actually flying through the game. I think that's because I've been mainly focusing on the side stuff that you can do to clear out the islands. So, but I have completed Act 1, so I'm at least a third of the way through the story.
I thought you had played that before.
No, I had not played that. I had messed around with it at one of my buddy's house. He had it, and I'd go over and I'd play for a little bit, but I mainly was playing on his account. So I'm like, man, I should really pick this game up. So I finally picked it up, and I'm just like, what did I just finish? Can't remember what I just finished on the 3. And I'm just like, I need to start working on my backlog. Let's do Saints Row. That's kind of a big open world game. I think the next one I'm going to after that is I'm going to go to Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus, and then finish out the Future series. So then I can play the reboot based on the movie, based on the game, you know how that goes. The game based on the movie, based on the game. Yeah.
I really, really, really enjoyed that game.
So that way I can get the platinum and the PS4 Ratchet and Clank, and then make fun of Tricky for the fact that he still hasn't gotten it yet.
Yeah, Tricky's never going to get that because he can't get the times down for the races, which I don't understand why they're so hard for him, but just shortcuts and just hit as many boosts as you can.
He's not a racer, Alex.
Well, Tricky's also not very much of a gamer either, so.
Oh.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. But yeah, the Ratchet and Clank, the reboot or the remake of the original game was really good. They did cut out a few chunks of planets. Yeah, so the game is all the planets in that game were in the original. They just cut out some planets from the first game. It does make the new one feel tighter and more focused, but they also did add Dr. Nefarious into the new one.
Oh, okay.
And some new boss fights. So there are some new things in the new Ratchet game, but it looks incredible and it's really fun. So you will enjoy playing through that, sir, especially since you're a Ratchet and Clank fan.
Yeah, the pacing in the game is unlike all the other Ratchet games. Like, the other Ratchet games, it felt like it was more like you can get 3, 4, 5 days out of the game, especially when you're younger. But like, this game is way more tight, and you could explore and get, find all the coins and everything like that, or the cards rather, if you want to. So you could get some time out of it, but it's a way more tight experience, and ultimately all the jokes land a little bit tighter as well because of the presentation.
I did have a friend come up to me at work, and he's like, "So you've played the Ratchet game, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, he was kind of thrown off by the fact that after you defend the garage on your home world, that you immediately, like, you and Clank are immediately friends, and you go fly off, and you're like in the thick of things. I was like, "Yeah, that's just kind of the way it rolls in Ratchet and Clank, or especially this game."
Yeah, and the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it can be kind of. I've been playing Ratchet and Clank games for years, so it doesn't bother me. It doesn't faze me because you planet hop in every single game. But like someone just coming to the series, like, who expects a little bit more story expose, like, I can understand how that'd be a little off-putting or a little weird.
I guess what got me into Ratchet and Clank was just the humor.
Yeah, the writing's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what got me. I'm like, if this game and I fell in love with the series with one of the least popular games, which was All for One. And I'm like, if the rest of them are even partly funny as I found this game, I'm gonna love the series.
See, I watched my friend in college play through the first game and what's the second game? Ratchet and Clank Up Your or no.
Up your arsenal.
No, that was the third game. Ratchet and Clank.
No, I thought Crack in Time was third.
No. Oh God, what is it?
Is it Going Commando?
Going Commando. That was the second game. Thank you. The third game was Up Your Arsenal, and I did not. I picked that game up for $20 when it was the greatest hits on the PlayStation 2, and that's the game that really made me fall in love with it. The very first one I played. Then I went back and played the older ones, and then of course Tools of Destruction, Quest for Booty, A Crack in Time, Into the Nexus. I played pretty much every Ratchet and Clank game there is, all of them, and I have the platinum in any one of them that you can have a platinum in. So, but I have been playing more Bloodborne. As I mentioned earlier, I've gotten to the 6th boss, so I just beat the Witch of Hemwick, and I made my way through the Forbidden Woods, and I'm now fighting the Shadow of Yharnam, and fought it once. Well, I should say them, because there are 3 of them. Died, put up a valiant fight. I almost took one of them out, and then they kind of transformed and got stronger, and I was kind of like in the shit, and I like died very quickly. But like, you know, I understand, like, I probably need to take one of them out first, maybe the guy with the katana, the close combat guy first, and then worry about the other 2. But yeah, you know, I still feel like I'm going through this game so slowly because I'm having to, like, you know, gain so many blood echoes and experience as I go to be able to fight the bosses. It's just a more methodical style of game than I've ever been used to before. Because I feel like by now I would be through any other game, whereas this game I'm not even halfway through, I don't think. So it's you know, I'm finding ways to be better at the game, but like I just, you know, part of me can appreciate the slow methodical pace, but also like another part of me is like I want to experience everything, and I don't want to kind of like be held back behind all these gates. Like, Steven, did you play Bloodborne at all?
Oh yeah, I loved Bloodborne. So when it first came out, there were some streamers that I had stumbled upon that were streaming the game on Twitch. It was like when I first got on Twitch, and they basically sold me on the game just watching it. The game kicked my ass. I begrudgingly put it away after I beat the cleric beast. I think it was Father, what's his name, Caglione, whatever his name is. Gascon. Yeah. So when he kept kicking my ass, I put the game away, and then I just decided one day to pick it up and start it over again. And then for whatever reason, that second time around, I started over. I picked the chain whip or whatever it's called, and it just clicked with me for whatever reason. That's my second time around. The movement, fluidity, knowing what your combos are, knowing when you're gonna not be able to attack, keeping them at bay with the whip. That was the thing I was going to ask you, is what weapon you're using, because the whip for me, it's kind of like the beginner's weapon. It's very quick, but it doesn't do much damage. But you're able to keep your enemies at a distance because the whip will hits them from like maybe twice as long as any other weapon.
See, I went with the axe first off, and I've learned like to elongate the axe and use like the spinning tornado attack, where it'll take a lot of damage from your enemy, because if your enemy gets hit by that, they're almost always going to get knocked back. Even the executioners get knocked down from that. So enemies will almost, and it has a chance to make them kind of like fall over, hunch over, so you can go do a visceral attack sometimes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that weapon, I know it's slower, but it has been really effective for me. I kind of switch back and forth between that and the saw spear, because the saw spear is quicker. And I've gotten to the point where the saw spear does almost as much damage as the axe. So, and I don't really use... I just got to the point where I can use the repeating pistol. I got my skill up, because before I was focusing on endurance, health, and strength. So
that's the way to do it, yeah.
Into the skill of it, and the arcane and the blood tinge. But I don't know, like I don't rely on the guns too much. I know that you have to use them to parry, but I've never been able to time the parries well enough. And I know I'm probably going to have to learn at some point, or there's going to be a wall where I can't get past.
Yeah, I would say so. Now, you said you fought the Witch of Warwick or whatever it was. Was that the one that splits into 3? Or like there's 3?
The Witch of Hemwick, there are 2 of them. It's at the end of Charnel Lane. Basically, you access Charnel Lane. It's on the right side of the Grand Cathedral.
Right. Yeah.
And they're at the end of that. The Witch's Lair is at the end of that, or the Witch's Abode. But the one that's split in 3, I think that's the Shadow of Yharnam, because there are 3 of them. They're like Reaper-like. They're in robes. One of them has a katana. The other one shoots fireballs. And then another one has a torch that they, do short-range damage on you.
Yeah, it doesn't sound familiar to me, because there was one boss that was 3, but I could have swore they were like women. They were like little old lady witches.
Well, maybe there were. I only saw two. I only had 2 boss bars for the Witch of Hemwick, but that's the exact one you're thinking about because you it's like you have those long, tall like creeper enemies that they call on to attack you, and they've got like, the long like hair. Yeah, that's the Witch of Hemwick.
Yeah. That one was tough for me, and I guess because I'm remembering 3, and I could be wrong, but I remember the reason why I kept screwing that fight up was because I wasn't focusing on the right one. I guess like you have to take him out in a specific order, for it to be effective. I guess so. That one took me forever. I remember, but yeah, I never finished the game. I still own it, and I always wanted to return to it. And actually, believe it or not, Monster Hunter is actually making me want to return to Bloodborne because Monster Hunter and Bloodborne, the combat is kind of similar. Monster Hunter is more arcadey and fast, but it's still that same, moving back and forth, avoiding attacks and kind of biding your time. So yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it though. I'm glad you stuck with it because that's like the big thing is getting over that initial hump of that initial shock of how difficult the game could be and how you have to really learn how to play that game from the ground up. Like, I'm glad you stuck with it.
Well, and just dying over and over again. Like yesterday, I had like 50,000 plus blood echoes that I just lost because I died once, and then when I was going to retrieve all those blood echoes, I died again. So it overwrote that, and I had to pick up like a piddly amount of like 5,000 blood echoes. But I'm enjoying the game more. I still say that I would never play one of these games ever again. But I'm glad I played it, and I'm determined to make my way through it because, again, the city and like the surroundings, like even though I just had to make my way through a forest of fucking snakes, and snakes terrify me. Like, and these aren't small snakes; these are big motherfuckers in like clusters of fucking snakes. They're not friendly. I don't like them. But I still have managed to get my way all the way. I'm to that point in the Forbidden Woods where you find all the shortcuts and you can basically just straight line to the boss, which definitely helps. Like, if I had to go through the Forbidden Woods all the way again just to get to the boss, I'd be like, fuck this. Because I actually, I was walking into the boss lair, and I stopped. And I was like, I have 50,000 blood echoes. I probably don't want to do this, because I didn't know what their lair looked like, but I could just tell from the surroundings and the context. It's like, this is probably where I fight the boss. Fuck it. And I turned around, and I went, and I walked my way all the way back to the lamp to get my character 3 extra attributes, and like repair my weapons and everything. So yeah, I wouldn't say I am enjoying the game, but it's just not my style of game. And like I finally have confirmation of that because I thought about buying Bloodborne within the past few years, like when it was on sale and stuff. But I finally now have confirmation that it's just not my style of game. So I'm gonna continue to play it. I want to try to get the platinum, but we'll see. Because even Sid says he doesn't know if he's gonna get the platinum, and Sid's like big time.
Yeah.
Sid played through the other Souls games and got the platinums in those, so if that man says he doesn't know if he has enough skill, shit. So, it's PAX, and this first topic kind of like hits probably close to home for all of us since we're all around the same age, we're all the same generation. Spyro the Dragon, Insomniac Games' baby before Ratchet & Clank was a thing. I guess that would kind of make Spyro Ratchet's older brother. So they have announced, Activision has announced the Spyro Reignited Trilogy coming out on September 21st on PS4. And of course, you may remember another Activision property that came out was remastered last year, the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. This follows in the footsteps of that. So this September, you'll be able to play through all of the Spyro games. It's the trilogy all over again. And I will say, I've looked at screenshots, and they like the developers, Toys for Bob, have wanted to keep, since they're longtime fans, they've wanted to keep everything like as close as they can, like even Spyro's movements and the speed he runs at. They definitely want to keep that as close as they can to like the way that fans are used to. And you look at screenshots, and like the graphics are significantly improved. Like the game looks beautiful, but like you can still recognize like castles and buildings and even pedestals from the old game. Like it's like they took the original game and just like did everything like Crash Bandicoot. Like it's the exact same game, but it looks just so much better. Guys, I never played Spyro. I watched friends play it.
That makes 3 of us.
Oh!
So is this the perfect opportunity for all 3 of us to play the Spyro trilogy?
Yes, because
Yes.
I was gonna ask you guys that this was another one of those games that, like I said with Ratchet and Clank, it hit that era of gaming where I'm like, well, that's too kiddie. I'm not gonna touch that.
Exactly. Yep.
Yep. And like I said, the game looks beautiful. So if you're looking forward to playing more Spyro, either if you're looking forward to playing it for the first time, or you just want to go back and play the games, because the original one came out in 1998. It's a long ass time ago. If you want to jump back on Spyro train, it comes out on September 21st.
So I was gonna say, so with all of these remasters that are coming out, people were clamoring for Crash Bandicoot. They got it, and they were, I even Spyro. I had heard, when Crash kind of was like getting getting hot of getting an announcement, people were like, well, but what about Spyro? And then you got Burnout as well. So we got all these remasters coming out. So there's just one other really popular game that I'm like, where is this remastered? And I think you guys know where I'm going. So are we going to get a Siphon Filter?
You've been asking for a Siphon Filter for years now. I think it's been a part of every E3 prediction for you, though, since we've done it.
And it's going to be again this year. I'm going to keep doing it until I get it.
Well,
but it makes you wonder if they're going back and they're getting all these really popular franchises and bringing them back, as either an HD or rebooting them, like Tomb Raider. Siphon Filter was quite the franchise.
It's true. I mean, we saw, they had Spyro in the Skylanders series for Activision before this, at least for a couple years now. And I think Crash Bandicoot showed up there. I don't remember if that was before the Insane Trilogy was officially announced. But, I mean, these are obviously series that were, without Spyro and the success of Spyro, we would not have Ratchet and Clank. We would not have Resistance. You would not have Sunset Overdrive. You would not have anything that Insomniac's done since then. And, Spyro, even though Crash Bandicoot was one of those, Crash Bandicoot had the biggest booth at the first E3 for Sony. And Crash Bandicoot was really that thing that they could hold up against Mario and say, hey, look at this, we have Crash Bandicoot. Because I picked Crash Bandicoot over Mario 64. Believe that.
Ooh.
The success of the original PlayStation also lied on the back of Spyro. Because Spyro is a big part of it, too. So it's nice to see Spyro get love. See, I know, Donnie would hate this. He would not want, all these old games being brought back and reignited, remastered, rebooted, whatever you want to call it.
Remastered.
Yeah. Red Faction Guerrilla. Coming back, baby. I really like it. Because, to be honest, I don't want to play all the games from my childhood, for the rest of my life. But to have some of, the more popular ones, like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro come back, I'm totally fine with that. And part of me, to be honest, wants to see Ghost Hunter remastered or Dark Watch remastered. If anyone knows those two games, I will be impressed. Well, maybe not so much Dark Watch, because that was Capcom. That was a little more out there. But if anyone knows what Ghost Hunter is, I will be fucking impressed.
So I wanted to jump in here, and last month or a little while ago, actually, when was this? Yeah, March 14th, on Proven Gamer, we put out an article called "The Proven 5 Trilogies Sony Should Remake Next." Number one was Spyro the Dragon, so at least we're already getting that. Number 5 was the Gex series, so that's another one that might be interesting. The Mega Man Legends collection. Oh, so that's kind of, I know it's not a trilogy, but there's a little write-up there. The Prince of Persia, the Sands series, Siphon Filter, the PlayStation 1 series, and then an honorable mention was the Die Hard trilogy. And then we put up a more specific article called "The Top 5 PlayStation Titles Bluepoint specifically should remake," and that was Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, Driver, Dark Cloud, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver.
Oh, yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah, Bluepoint, for those who don't recognize that name, they redid Shadow of the Colossus. So they got chops.
So you can read those on Proven Gamer. Now, I think the reason why we're getting these is obviously it's for the money, but I think it's because all of the kids that didn't, when you're a kid, you don't necessarily own all of the consoles. So I feel like for the Nintendo kids that grew up on Nintendo, they missed all of these games. But now they're 30, 35 years old, maybe even older, and now they have money. So they can go back and play these things that they missed. And then on the flip side, you may have been a PlayStation guy, and you may have been 14, 15 years old when these games came out, and like Yield was saying, they're kiddie games, and you don't want to play those. Well, now you're looking back at it, and you're like, well, I still play Mario. Why wouldn't I play Spyro the Dragon? So I just think that it's a smart business move, and now these franchises are going to be more relevant than they ever have been in arguably the most successful console generation of all time. So I think this is a really cool idea.
Well, you think about it, like, so instead of creating a new game or even doing a sequel, you've got a proven entity. The game's already been made and been built, so you have like a framework and a baseline to work from. But, there's a lot of work that goes into remaking these games. I'm not saying that. But you at least have everything laid out in front of you, and you just kind of had to decide how you want to display it, or like basically what you want the game to look like, and ways to stay faithful to it, and just kind of how to bring it into a new generation and make it look like up to today's standards. So, I mean, that's one big advantage for the developers.
Yeah, you don't have to I shouldn't say waste time, but you don't have to spend time developing a story and all that. All you're doing is just making it pretty and making it run on the new this current gen consoles.
And we've been lucky that developers who actually are fans of these games, like the Crash Bandicoot games and Shadow of the Colossus and Spyro, that they're actually fans of the games, and they're faithful, and they care about the properties, and they want to do right by them instead of just throwing some shit out there. So they're like taking into consideration the way Spyro moves, the speed at which he flies, the speed at which he runs, and it's really, really great to see. So, and plus, it's the 20th anniversary of Spyro coming up, so the original game came out 20 years ago, so it doesn't feel like it's too soon. Like, it feels like enough time is elapsed since then to put out the games again.
Agreed.
And Spyro was definitely Spyro was made by Insomniac Games, where like they became kind of household names. But their newest project they've been working on, and I know a lot of us have been looking forward to this. There's a lot of Marvel on the silver screen, a lot of Marvel on the television. The next big Marvel game, Insomniac, or I should say Marvel Spider-Man, made by Insomniac Games, comes out September 7th to PlayStation 4, and that is a PlayStation 4 exclusive. So
excited. Oh my god.
Yeah. I just have
Steve,
to decide which version I'm getting.
So, okay, well, Yield, before I ask you guys what makes you so excited about the game, let me talk to you about the versions that are coming out. Of course, there's a standard edition for $60, and I'm going to read this from the PlayStation blog. The digital deluxe edition of the game, which is going to be in the US for $80, will include a copy of the game as well as new story chapters into our post-launch DLC series, Marvel Spider-Man: The City That Never Sleeps. Not really great that they're announcing DLC already. I'll say that. But I do love Insomniac and I do trust them, so I'll let it slide for them. But they say, that's right, we'll be supporting the game post-launch, and you'll be getting 3 new chapters each with new missions, new villains and characters, and additional suits for Spider-Man. The next is the Collector's Edition, which we'll call the Tricky Edition because it costs a lot of money, and he'll surely be willing to spend the money on it. The Collector's Edition will cost $150, and it will include all the digital content from the Digital Deluxe Edition, as well as a steelbook case featuring the iconic White Spider-Man mini art book from Titan Books, and an awesome Marvel Spider-Man statue by Gentle Giant. So that is going to be the Collector's Edition. It's $150, and the Digital Deluxe Edition is $70 cheaper at $80. So, fellas, tell me what has you so excited about Spider-Man.
I've just liked the trailers that I've seen so far, with the combat and everything. I mean, I tried the PS2 Spider-Man game. A buddy of mine absolutely loved it, and I liked watching him play it. But when I got a hold of it, I was just kind of like, it was just like, eh. I had more fun watching somebody else play it. So I'm like slightly apprehensive about this one, but from what I've seen, it seems like a game that I would enjoy, about how it just seems the combat flows of how you can, web sling objects to attack your enemy, or you can web sling them, or you can go in for hand-to-hand combat. And it's just it watching the gameplay, it really gives you the sense of that, like, you're really Spider-Man. You can do however you want to attack it. It's not okay, here you have to go melee that guy because it's what we want you to do. They've really kind of like created an open world to do however you want.
Yeah, for me, it's not only just the pedigree of the developers and everything like that, but it's more like I've always been excited for Spider-Man games, but that excitement has waned in the last few editions of the Spider-Man games. Really, Spider-Man, what was it? Shattered Dimensions wasn't really that great. A couple of them. I think Ultimate Spider-Man was the last one I really liked. But for me, it's that there's so much potential in there with Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. Everybody compares Rogues Galleries, like Batman always will have the best one, and we saw what happened in Arkham. I'm interested to see how they utilize the vast amount of villains that are in the Spider-Man universe. The Sinister Six. Was it name? Was it Mr. Shoot, what's the villain's name? Mr. Negative, I forget his name. We've only seen one villain in any trailer so far, and any gameplay footage. So for me, I'm super excited to see where they go story-wise. They've already confirmed that Mary Jane is playable in this game. There's references that this is an older Spider-Man. This is a Spider-Man in his 30s. So that means there's Miles Morales could be out there. I think that's all but confirmed at this point. So I don't know. I'm just excited for. I love Spider-Man. I think he's one of the best characters ever written in comic books. Period. And being portrayed on the silver screen has been exciting at times, but you know that history. I'm not going to get into that, but. Man, Spider-Man, it looks so good, and that's right up my alley. I love the Infamous games, and I'm getting a lot of Infamous vibes from this thing. Just the open city, and man, I'm super excited. I can't wait.
Which is funny because everybody thought that Sucker Punch was the one doing this game.
Yeah. And it takes a while for you to like step back from that and realize, oh no, this is. Sucker Punch doesn't have anything to do with this thing.
Yeah, this is Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to look gorgeous. I mean, just looking at this stuff thing in action, it's just holy crap.
The story's going to be spot on.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to what I hope this game is I hope that it's a focused story with maybe one or two villains, but on the periphery, the Sinister Six might be doing stuff that you need to like stop on your way, like as side missions. I don't want too much to take away from one main story, trying to shoehorn a bunch of different villains. It worked in the first Arkham game because it was a confined environment, and you had to get through one to get to the next. But in this big open world, I feel like it's going to be one of those things where Spider-Man's going from point A to point B, and then, Rhino's down there robbing a bank. Like, oh, all right, come on. And then you maybe stop Rhino, and then that opens up a little side mission thing where finally getting him in jail or defeating him is like his own little thread. But it's more like a side thing that doesn't necessarily bog down the main story. That's what I'm hoping they do with this thing. Because we know that they could tell a linear story. The Ratchet and Clank is awesome. And we know they could do movement from Sunset Overdrive. We know they got movement and movement combat down and traversal down. So I'm really looking forward to this game. I can't wait.
Steven, I got a question for you. Besides, sure. Dating back to like the X-Men arcade game and X-Men Legends and the Spider-Man game on the PlayStation 1, name me one superhero-based game that focused on one or two villains.
One or two villains, yeah.
I don't think you can do it.
I would say, I would say the Infamous games.
No, I mean like Marvel, DC.
Marvel, DC. Well, you got some awful Superman games. Those typically
get far enough in those games to determine if there actually was an enemy.
What was pretty? Yeah, no, not the cars and magic rings. I think in the sky, those are the enemies. I think. Maybe the Justice League Heroes, was that game? That was the the Marvel Legends like DC game. That one was pretty good. I enjoyed that. That had like, Lex Luthor was like the main baddie and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean it's tough. Like, but the difference, I think the difference is that this is a open world game, but it's a single player game, at least from what we know, or at least what I know. I don't know if they've released anything like any 2-player modes or anything like that. But for me, you got to focus.
Steve, I think that one of the reasons they won't do that, because I can see them doing that if they have other games after this, and they're going to set up a sequel by having like a villain in this game that isn't necessarily a main point, and in the next game they introduce that villain fully, and they just focus on 1 or 2 this first game. But I don't see Insomniac making another Spider-Man game. Like, I think this is kind of a one-shot deal, so I feel like they're going to try to throw as many references in there as they can, especially with a big open city. Because you think like back to Arkham City, you mentioned Arkham Asylum. But in Arkham City, there were far more than a few enemies, and you think you have this big city, Gotham, like they're all going to inhabit it at some point. So it would make sense that you would cross paths with more than 1, 2, or even 3 boss characters.
Yeah, but your main bad guy in City the whole time was, well, no, yeah, yes,
You kind of had 2. Well, you kind of had 3.
Well, you kind of had 3. So I agree with kind of like what you're saying, Alex, is that there probably will be multiple, that there will be I'm just saying there'll probably be a linear, this is kind of your main bad guy, and then you'll have a couple of
lieutenants.
Other main bad guys that you fight along the way, and then probably like Steven said, you'll find some of your other nods to other bad guys in side missions. Here is this guy, here is that guy. But what I'm looking at is, from Insomniac, you're going to get a good story, and you're going to get good humor, which I think will bode well for them, because everybody remembers Spider-Man as kind of the sarcastic guy. So I think that'll bode well for Insomniac.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you guys talked about how Insomniac, it kind of feels a little bit like Sucker Punch is Infamous, whereas, Insomniac is actually making Spider-Man, but you can kind of see the kind of threads they're tying together. We just learned from PAX 2018 that there is going to be a Square Enix crossover between Final Fantasy and Tomb Raider. Not many details yet, but just the fact that they would combine those 2 universes in some way is kind of mind-blowing.
Final Fantasy 15 is crossed now with how many different franchises? It's crazy.
I was going to say, I'd like to see how that works.
Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know anymore. Final Fantasy 15 was fun, but it's not that fun that I need to go back and play it 18 times.
Let me ask you guys this. What are 2 franchises you would like to see intertwined? Like, it doesn't, I mean, obviously it would have to be underneath the same publishing house, but like, are there 2 particular like franchises you would like to see crossed over?
Yes. I want to see Fire Emblem and the Mario Brothers characters come together for a Kingdom Hearts-like RPG saga. That's what I want.
Damn. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I want. Because we know Nintendo's not going to take, 11 years to make a sequel to it. So I look for that's what I would want. I would want their, or if not Fire Emblem, then like Dragon Quest or something like that. Just a known, stable RPG franchise that lives on its own, just like Final Fantasy did, and then those iconic Mario characters, just like the Kingdom Hearts has those Disney characters. And you go to all the different Mario worlds, you go to Donkey Kong world, you go to Earthbound world, you go to all these different worlds. That's what I want. That would be my dream crossover, whatever type game.
So my idea, and I'm impressed with that, Stephen, because you came up with that on the fly, because I did not let them know ahead of time that I was going to ask them this question. I want to see, and I'm sorry I have to leave Jack out of this, but I want to see Ratchet and Clank and Sly Cooper together, like doing heists. Like Ratchet is the new demolitions guy, and Clank does. I mean, you could think of like Bentley. He's been in the thick of it for so many years, and he ended up wheelchair bound. And like him and, maybe wanting to get away from that, but like Ratchet comes in and Clank comes in, and like Clank could be the brains, and Ratchet could be the demolitions guy. Murray's the brawn. Then you've also got Sly Cooper to be like the recon guy, like the kind of
like an Ocean's 11.
Yeah, no, like I would love to see that.
That would be awesome.
And it would follow like the Sly Cooper format of games, where you do like a bunch of recon missions, all leading up to like one big heist and then a boss fight.
Love it.
I don't think Sly Cooper would fit well into the Ratchet world as far as gameplay goes. Or you know what? You could do a co-op game with Ratchet and Jak, like Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter, like co-op buddies, like shooting their way through like a galactic like wasteland, like planet hopping, and like going through this epic story together as just like these gun blazers, these gunslinging buddies. Kind of like Army of Two, but with Jak and Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah. I'd be down with that. Hell yeah.
Yield, you got an idea for us?
No, I don't have one. I did see something on the internet that would be rather interesting, but they didn't really have the one series as a video game as more than the other one. But you could do an Indiana Jones Lara Croft thing where you could spin it where Jones is actually Laura's dad.
How about like a racing game, but the cars were all Transformers? So you still had to cross the finish line, but you could initiate fights like within the race, like go into robot mode and initiate fights in the race. Kind of like add some split second elements where you could deform the terrain to make it harder to race through. I don't know. That's a crazy idea.
That is a crazy idea.
But it could work.
It could. I'll just go with Split Second 2.
Yeah. Well, we would all love to see Split Second 2. But, well, you know what console the Split Second 2 would look really good on, Yield?
What?
The PlayStation 5.
Oh my word.
I'm going to throw this to Steven because this is a topic that Steven added. It's actually going to go ahead and be our topic of the week, so to speak.
Yes, indeed. But before we get into the topic of the week, we want to kick it over to Sid for his Sophie's Trophies. So let's do that right now.
Hi, Sid!
Hi, Sid.
Hey guys, how are we all? Welcome back to Sophie's Trophies, episode 32. As always, I'm Sid, hope you guys are okay. Now, this week I'm doing Tomb Raider. I did mention last week, and it is going to be split into two parts. The reason for this is I bought it quite cheap. It was £4.99, and when I bought it I thought to myself, oh shit, there's a lot of multiplayer trophies. And considering it's 5 years old, I did think to myself, not a chance, there's going to be nobody playing this game. But surprise, surprise guys, there are a lot of people still playing this game. Maybe it's because of the price cut it recently had. You know, £5 for a game like this is pretty damn good value. Right, so let's get into the multiplayer. Okay, the first one is Adventurer. Complete a match in all multiplayer modes. That is a 1.3% rare trophy. I believe it's a gold. Now, when I say I believe it's a gold, guys, I'm colourblind, so telling between the gold and the silver is sometimes difficult. Okay, the multiplayer modes are Rescue, which is basically capture the flag, Team Deathmatch, Free for All. What the bloody hell is the last one? Do you know what, guys? I forgot what the fourth one is. When I remember, I will tell you, but there are 4 different match types. Okay, Artilleryman. Kill 20 enemies in multiplayer using a turret. Now, there is a turret in 2 or 3 of the maps, and pretty easy, guys. Just shoot somebody with the turret 20 times. The problem with that one is unless you've got somebody to boost it with, it's going to be quite difficult and time-consuming to actually get people in front of the turret. Now, this one I had a hard time with. Just to let you know, Artilleryman, guys, is a 0.8% rare trophy. This one, Downboy. Kill a zip-lining enemy in multiplayer. It is a 1.5% ultra rare trophy. Now, the problem with this one, guys, is when it says kill a zip-lining enemy in multiplayer, they must die on the zip line. So if you shoot an enemy and they fall off the zip line, it does not count. So you have to wait for somebody ziplining down a zipline with very, very low health. Now, I boosted this trophy with a friend, and it took a few attempts, let's say, because we didn't quite grasp the nuances of what the trophy was telling us. So just remember that, guys. You cannot just shoot somebody off a zipline. They have to die whilst coming down it. Entrapment. Catch a player in a snare trap in multiplayer. Now this one's quite easy. Just run past a trap, set it up. As soon as somebody's caught in it, that's the trophy popped. It is an ultra rare 4.2% gold trophy. Escapist. Survive 10 explosions. You can do this yourself. Just shoot a grenade near to you. As long as you go red, or your screen goes red and you survive, then you're fine. Do that 10 times. Good Samaritan. Revive a teammate in a multiplayer match. That is a 2.2% rare trophy. Ultra rare trophy, guys. Okay, now this is the one that you really need to be lucky with, I think. I'm All That. Win a ranked match in every multiplayer mode. Like I say, there are 4 multiplayer modes, guys. So you have to play the ranked matches. Now it is a bit harder to find ranked matches. I was lucky in that I made friends with, of all people, a group of Russians. Only one of them spoke English, but we all helped each other through. We formed a little party of 4 and did a few ranked matches together. Okay, so Sole Survivor. In multiplayer, be the only player on your team that isn't dead or downed. That's easy enough, just make sure you're alive if everybody else gets knocked down. Lights Out, kill 10 multiplayer enemies using your melee attack. Run up, hit people. Again, I did this with my group of friends. Master Blaster, kill 2 enemies with a single explosive. Now this one is a 1.5 ultra rare. I know I haven't read those out, guys, but I do have quite a lot to go through. Basically, throw a grenade, throw dynamite, whichever, and that's it. As long as you kill 2 enemies. Again, I did this with my group of friends. Monkey Around. In multiplayer, escape death 3 times by using the rope ascender. This can be done on your own, guys. Just set your team to Solari, go into a private match, choose beach, and there is a tyre that is on fire. It's like a little fire pit made out of tyres. Stand in there until your health goes really low, then jump up the rope that's right next to you, press square to fly up it, and do that 3 times and you will get the trophy. You can only do it using the Solari, which are the bad team, as it were, as they're the only ones that have the rope ascender. Okay, Narcissistic. Purchase a new multiplayer character. Very simple. As soon as you get the chance and have some salvage, you purchase a character. On My Way Up. Reach level 10 in multiplayer. This one is a 2.6%, so quite a few people compared to some of the others have done this. Again, a gold trophy. Very easy. Just keep playing until you reach level 10. Now, Shopaholic. Buy every upgrade and character in multiplayer. Now, this trophy used to require you to prestige twice, which is get to level 60 twice to buy a character called the General. Now, they did patch this, so you don't actually need to do that anymore. He's now no longer a requirement in that trophy, but you do need to get to level 60 at least once, if it doesn't glitch. It glitched on me, guys, but in a good way. I haven't bought everything yet, and I was playing the single player game yesterday, and it crashed. So I came out of it, came back into it, and the Shopaholic trophy popped for me, which is very strange, but I'm not going to argue with that one. And the last one, guys, is True Commitment. That is reach level 60 in multiplayer. I haven't got this one yet, but I am working towards it. It is the same as the Shopaholic trophy, which is a 0.6 ultra rare trophy. Now, I will give you the easiest way to do this, guys. Set yourself up in a private match, put your team as survivors, play Rescue, which is basically capture the flag, and set your medkits, because instead of flags it's medkits, to 20. Start the round, set the time to whatever you want. I usually set it for about 11 minutes. And run around, collect 20 medkits. That will give you, on average, 27,000 experience points. Now, if you were going for Shopaholic, you could play the next round if you wanted, and just run around in a circle and break open the salvage boxes using the Solari character. And then on the third round, it lets you pick, if you're playing it the way I was on your own, which team you want to be. So it's up to you whether you wanted to go for more salvage or whether you wanted to go for experience. I'm just doing one round as the survivors to get the experience, and then I quit out of it and start again. I usually do it 2 or 3 times a night. It's taken a while, guys, but I will do it because it was the last trophy in the PS3 version and I never got it because I just gave up. I just got bored. But that's it for that one, guys. I will do the single player next week. It's a very good game. I still really enjoy it. The multiplayer is not as bad as I thought it would be, to be honest. I know I've played it before, but I did forget. It was a while back. 2013 this game came out, so 5 years ago. It's easy to forget the nuances and things of a game. But yeah, the multiplayer, not too bad. Trophies are very much attainable. I did most of them in one weekend. Just get in there, find yourself a team, message people, ask for help. I did that. People messaged me asking for help. So there is still very much an active community around this game. I don't know for how long though. So yeah. So next week, Tomb Raider 2013 single player. So that's it for this week, guys. I hope that was okay. And I will talk to you next week. As always, Sidders1978 on the PSN, Sid at Proven Gamer on the email, at Sidney on the Twitter, or through the Trophy Horse Facebook group. Get in touch, guys. Give me some ideas of what to talk about. Would be cool. And I will talk to you next week and keep getting those trophies. Bye.
Thanks, Sid. Thanks for everything. It was wonderful. Didn't listen to it, but I will. All right, so let's get into the topic of the week. So this has been kicked around on the internet. I have a couple of articles here open. The first time I heard it was from Forbes. So I'm just going to go ahead and start. So the PlayStation 5 has been rumored that there are dev kits out in the world. I'm just going to go on the Forbes article here. It says it's strange to start thinking about the next generation of consoles, given that we're living in the era with the immediate upgrades like PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. But here we are with the potential 5 on the horizon. There is a report out today that should be taken with a grain of salt, given that it's locked behind a $1,000 paywall at semiaccurate.com, with details posted to Reset Era. So I'm going to go over to Reset Era and give you those details. Okay. So this is from the semi-accurate thing. So here we go. Quick summary. It's going to use an AMD's Navi as its base architecture, not specifically using Navi. The CPU is a custom Zen CPU. It has this is the biggest one for me. Large amount of dev kits have already gone out. The author suggests that a 2018 release of PS5 is not out of the question based on the amount of dev kits released, as this is a sure sign, this is a quote, sure sign that the launch is getting close. Not definitive, obviously. And that there are VR goodies baked into this at the silicon level, meaning that the chip internal is going to have some VR capabilities. Which bodes well for VR. Now, obviously, you got to take this with a grain of salt. Now, the reason why I put this in here is because not too long ago, I had written an article on ProvenGamer.com saying, and the title of it was, is it time for Sony to reveal the PlayStation 5? Which got a lot of people, without reading the article, obviously, because I came to the conclusion that no, it's not time. A lot of people just saying, no, you're stupid, why don't you go jump in front of a truck? However, I think that with the iterative consoles, I think 2019 is not out of the question here. So what do you guys think? You think these are real? Do you think that there are actual PS5 dev kits out in the world?
I'm sure there's probably some.
There has to be, right?
That many seems like too soon without any real rumblings. And for 2018, I don't see Sony coming out at E3 and going, hey, look, we're working on the PS5 and you'll get it this Christmas.
Yeah, I don't see that happening either.
I don't think they've ever done anything like that. They've always announced it. Hey, we're working on it. This is some specs for it. And then it's the following E3 they have the big reveal and you'll get it this Christmas or something like that, or you'll get it next Christmas.
Yeah, especially with Days Gone slipping into 2019, that automatically says that PS4s are still going to be getting games in 2019. We still don't know what's going on with Death Stranding. That's supposedly a 2019 game, which I really would not be surprised if that is a launch PS5 game in early 2020, if you ask me.
Yeah, and if you remember, the 4 or the 3 had some of its strongest games right at the end of the cycle, because they said that's when they finally was able to harness all of its, everything in the CPU. So
yeah, but with God of War coming out this year, I mean, that's like going to be one of the biggest PS4 games yet, despite all the big ones that have come out so far. You don't want to announce like, hey, PS5's on the way, because it's going to kill off sales for the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue they don't need anything more for PS4 at this point, but
I argue the PS5 is already out. They called it PS4 Pro, but
yeah, I'm actually with you on that one. But I think look at the big first party studios that you have. So God of War is coming out. You got Spider-Man, so that Insomniac's done, right? They're not going to come out with another huge game on PS4. God of War's done. I'm talking about just first party. Death Stranding, whatever the hell that thing comes out. So that's only one that we know isn't coming. Ghost of Tsushima, that's another one that's been announced for PS4. We have Days Gone. Now, outside of those,
Last of Us Part 2.
Right, Last of Us 2. So outside of all those, who's your big first party studios that are going to be working on something for PS4? I don't think anybody. I don't think any. You're not getting 2 games out of any of those studios in these next couple of years, for sure. So it's really not out of the realm of possibility that 3 years from now, these first parties are launching a game on PS5.
Well, this fall, the PlayStation 4 will have been out for 5 years in North America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it is not crazy that we get an announcement at PSX at the end of this year that PS5 is real, and that they will talk more about it at E3 the following summer, so summer 2019, and that it comes out in the fall of 2019. It would not surprise me. And then they could get all of their big, the last games out. Death Stranding's not a PS4 game. I don't care what you say. I never believed it was a PS4 game. That game is going to be a PS5 launch game. So with that in my head, I believe that 2019 is going to be the swan song for all of the big games that are left. The Days Gone, the Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us Part 2. And then there'll be a little bit of bleed. I believe that you'll get Death Stranding, possibly Last of Us 2, and Ghost of Tsushima as PS5, up-resed whatever ports as well to help with the launch. And then we'll see what happens after that. I just feel like these console generations are going to get shorter. They have to get shorter because technology is ramping up so quickly, and with VR being a major focus for PlayStation, they need their box to be able to do this thing, because the way it is right now, it's a detriment. It's people are avoiding purchasing it because it's a pain in the butt to set up. And if it was a little easier, and around the correct price point of like $200-$400, we'll see. I just don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. We really don't now, especially with dev kits supposedly out in the wild. I mean, they have to be out in the wild. It takes 3 years minimum to make something for a system. So you figure 3 years from now, we're talking about 2021. Yeah, that's not out of the realm of possibility of a PlayStation 5. So yeah, dev kits are probably out in the wild.
So I want to make a point. I mean, you talked about there not being two big games coming from these studios, like a lot of these first-party studios. And I want to remind you that Naughty Dog has already put out Uncharted 4 and Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and is going to be putting out The Last of Us Part 2 as well.
No, I'm saying from this point on, you're not, like you're going to get The Last of Us 2. You're not going to get something else out of them after The Last of Us 2 on PlayStation 4. That's going to take them 4 years to make.
Allow me to give you one example of a game that might be the swan song for the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
What about Horizon 2?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to hear something at E3.
I think it's a little soon to hear something, but given the way the first game ended, it's coming.
Yeah, I didn't finish the game.
Is that the game that bridges the PS? Because they've already created the world. They've got the characters created. They've got the tech work done. The engine is there. So they have everything in place. It's just kind of now making the game and the story. Is that the game that bridges the PS4 and PS5?
Could be, yeah. Especially if Death Stranding, slips again, into a PS5 generation. Yeah, I think so. I think you could absolutely say that. And we don't have a date for Last of Us 2, so it could be the two of those games.
Another possibly good way to help with these rumors will be at this year's E3. If the game's showing isn't as strong as Steven was, suggesting that all of these first party, big games are going to be their last big game. If you don't have a lot of first party announcements at this year's E3, then it's really not out of the possibility that at the end of the year they do say, hey, look, here's the 5 and it's in the pipeline.
I also expect Massive Action Game Mag 2 to be announced at E3 this year.
Really?
No, not really.
1,000 players.
Mag, and all the characters are dressed as Dynasty Warriors characters.
Love it. Do it.
All right, well, fellas, that is going to bring us to the end of our topics. Well, except for one, my own little thing that I like to call What's Hot in Gaming. One particular game it's actually coming out this week on the 10th. So look for this on Tuesday. But there's a whole bunch of games coming out this week. One of them that really caught my eye is called Extinction. And it's basically you, as a normal-sized dude, trying to save the world from giant, colossus-sized ogres. I'm going to take this straight from Ryan Clements and the PlayStation blog. Rumbling out of the tattered pages of legend come the Ravini, old enemies of humankind that once again threaten the world. Take up the ancient art of the Sentinel and defend humanity in Extinction, coming to PS4 on April 10th. Extinction places players in the shoes of Avi, a warrior who uses mobility and strength in equal measure to stop the colossal ogres and their minions, leap between buildings, swing from rooftops, and cut down the Ravini threat in spectacular fashion. So, that is a little description of the game. It's, again, called Extinction. Go look it up and see what you think, but I think that sounds like a really cool concept.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I saw this at what was it? Maybe it was a PlayStation blog. I don't remember, but it was a couple of weeks ago that it was part of a sizzle reel for something. I don't remember what it was, but it looked really cool. Really cool art style, almost like cel shaded kind of, very anime looking. But the combat looked very fluid. You're cutting off limbs of these giant creatures and stuff. It looked really cool.
I think I remember seeing something about this. Was this the one where you kind of ran around in not necessarily an open world, but you defended, you took out small ogres, and then the big one came in and you could chop off its arm or its leg, and
yeah, and you use whatever limbs you're chopping off, you're I think you use and get upgrades for or something like that, or you based on whatever limbs you're chopping off, you get abilities and stuff.
I remember seeing some kind of trailer like this, I don't know if it was last year.
I want to say it was a couple of months ago, but we only really saw just that one tiny little town and him jumping on rooftops, and stuff like that. Yeah. It really does look awesome.
Yep, and it's coming to you this week on Tuesday, so definitely check it out because I definitely hacking limbs off of giant ogres sounds awesome as fuck to me. So I'm definitely going to look into it. Maybe it can be kind of like my in between, my palate cleanser when I get a little bit too frustrated with damn Bloodborne.
That sounds like a great idea.
Fucking Bloodborne. All right, well, folks, we are going to jump into our housekeeping this week. We're going to clean this shit up, and I'm going to throw it to Steven because he always does housekeeping so much better than we do.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so we're going to start out with Help Wanted. Listen, recently I've been named the editor-in-chief of ProvingGamer.com, and we are focusing on getting writers as part of our team. If you want to write about video games and you want to see your work out in the wild, you want to write previews, reviews, you want to do interviews, whatever you want to do, you could do it for ProvingGamer.com. So please go to ProvingGamer.com, click on the Help Wanted tab, and fill out an application, send us some writing samples, and me and Tricky will get back to you. Really, honestly, we really are looking for writers. So if you have friends or whatever, direct them to the website. We'll start working with you. If you want to get in touch with us, you can. You could email us at trophyhorrors@provinggamer.com. We have a phone number. That's 330-PROVEN9. That's 330-776-8369. And you can leave us a message, and we can play it on the show, which we have not done since I started doing this show. So, yeah. We have a Twitter. What is that? That's at ProvingGamer. I don't think Trophy Horse has one.
Yes, at Trophy Horse.
At Trophy Horse. I probably should follow that.
Trophy Horse does not have an Instagram account.
Not an Instagram, no. Remember, we do have other podcasts as part of the Proving Gamer Network. There's a podcast that I am a co-host of with my buddy Andy Asimakis. That's Nintendo Dual Screens. That's your Nintendo podcast if you're interested. We do a lot of interviews with a lot of indie devs and stuff like that. So if you're into that sort of thing, pop over there, give us a subscribe and a review, and we'd appreciate it. We also have the Smart Marks, our professional wrestling podcast, which have been putting out really good episodes leading up to WrestleMania, so please support the Smart Marks. We also have Game Stuff, which is a general games discussion podcast, and pretty soon, in the next couple of weeks, maybe, we are going to get one of their hosts, Kalai, on Nintendo Dual Screens to talk about Nintendo and what she saw at PAX East. We also have PG Spoilers, which is a podcast you can be a part of. If you want to hear about that, just write us an email. It's been a while since we did one, so whatever. You can find all of these shows on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, and this show and the Smart Marks can be found on iHeartRadio, which is pretty amazing. We have some PlayStation 4 communities. Gentlemen, would you like to take that away? Yield, what's your PlayStation 4 community?
My PlayStation 4 community is the Platinum Guild, where you can basically just post your latest Platinum, help. If somebody needs some help, they can ask for, hey, I need help with this. If you got some co-op stuff, or if you're stuck on something, hey, what's the best way to get this trophy? That's kind of what the community is all about. Really, it's just about, hey, this is where I'm at on my Platinum-wise, kind of just bragging amongst some friends. So if you want an invite, just ask me. But hurry. Applications are going fast.
We also have the Trophy Horse community, but it's not called Trophy Horrors on the network because, well, President of Worldwide Studios Shuhei Yoshida isn't going to let us say horrors on the PlayStation Network, so we had to go with the T-Dubs Brothel. That is the name of the PlayStation 4 community. We also have the Proven Gamer community on PlayStation 4.
All right, and that's going to bring us to our sponsors. Ladies and gentlemen, we have partnered with Humble Bundle, and the way that works is pretty simple. If you go to ProvingGamer.com and you click on our little Humble Bundle link that we have there, or you go to the podcast description, we also have a link there that'll take you to Humble Bundle. You could buy games for ridiculously cheap, and you're going to be supporting our charity of choice, which is Extra Life, which is another partnership of ours, Extra Life. Again, if you go to ProvingGamer.com, we have an Extra Life banner on the website that you could donate a couple bucks to help us raise money for the Children's Miracle Network of hospitals. So we have a nice little team there. I think there's 7 of us on the team. You could donate to your favorite PG member and help support the Children's Miracle Network of hospitals. And at the end of the year, in November, I think it's November 6th this year, right? Is that right? Am I wrong? 3rd? 3rd. November 3rd is a 24-hour gaming marathon to help raise awareness, but when we get closer to that, we will give you more details on that. And the final one is Amazon. If you go to ProvingGamer.com and you click on any Amazon ad and do your shopping like normal, we get a little kickback and it helps keep the website running. So we do appreciate if you do that. Also, if you're an Amazon Prime member, that means you have Twitch Prime, which means you could subscribe to our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ProvingGamer for absolutely free. It's free money that they're just letting you sit there in your in your Amazon Prime account, and it's just going to nothing. So if you don't want it going to nothing and you want to help out a little website that could, please consider going over to twitch.tv/provengamer and hitting the subscribe button over there with your Amazon Prime. And that's going to bring us to shout-outs. Alex?
Well, I want to give a shout out to the listeners first and foremost. Thank you all for sharing a little bit of your time with us every single week. Only thing we want is to hear from you a little bit more. Let us know how we're doing. Send us questions of the week, so it's not just us coming up with the topics we talk about. We'd love to get you guys a little bit more involved in the show. But as always, thank you for being the fuel to the fire that's Trophy Horrors, because quite frankly, the show would not exist without you all. So many, many great thank yous to you all for that. Give a shout out to the Goddess and Tricky, who are at PAX East. They're up there in Boston trying to cover the show as best they can, so a big shout out to them. Shout out to my co-host this week, Steven and Yield, especially Steven for that wonderful, wonderful housekeeping segment, which he does so well. I bet he doesn't even look at any papers. He just sit there and does it from memory.
Most of it, except for all of the community stuff.
Fantastiche. I want to give a shout out to Hillbilly Jim, who was inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame last night. If you don't know, I am from Louisville. Hillbilly Jim is a Kentucky boy. He's from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and last night during his induction speech, he said that one thing that he always kept in mind as he was traveling is he hoped he represented Kentucky well. Anybody who lived in Bowling Green, Lexington, Louisville, and I will say we are very proud of you, Hillbilly Jim, and you always did represent us very well. So big shout out to you, sir, and congratulations on your induction, well deserved, into the 2018 Hall of Fame class for the WB. And last but not least, to my girlfriend Ashley, who always supports me in everything I do, supports the show, listens to every episode of the show. Everything she brings to my life is just a great partner, as good as I can ask for. She's fantastic, and I'm just so grateful for all the adventures that we get to have and all the time we get to spend together, and just for everything that she brings to my day, to my night, to everything. So thank you, Ashley, for being a supporter of me and the show and Proven Gamer.
Yield.
So, I would also like to give a shout out to the pimps and the madams of the whoredom. Thank you for everything that you've done for the show and the site and all of our other shows on our podcast network. It's greatly appreciated. I also would like to give a shout out to Alex and Steven for recording today. Kind of a day early for us normally, but WrestleMania is tomorrow and everybody is kind of got plans to watch it. So. And then I found out I got a birthday party, so that really kills all my Sunday. And then a shout out to Tricky and the Goddess and everybody else with Proven Gamer over at PAX East covering that. It's fun. If you ever never have gone to a PAX, you should. I would like to go back to another one. It's fun times. I would also like to alliterate one of Alex's shout-outs. I would like to give a shout-out, though, to the Dudleys for making the Hall of Fame. That's when I was really into wrestling, was when the Dudleys were in WWE. So it's really cool to see them get inducted. And then I saw something over Twitter this morning. I would also like to give a shout-out to Al Snow, who is from Ohio, and he has purchased OVW, which used to be which is Ohio Valley Wrestling, which I believe is based in Louisville.
Yep, it's where John Cena, Batista, Randy Orton, and Brock Lesnar all trained before they went up to the WB.
Yeah, it used to be a WWE training ground. It used to also be TNA. I remember some of their events making their way far enough into Ohio where we went to them. Me and my friends went to them, back in the day. So it's really cool to see that he's in charge of that now, so maybe he'll bridge the gap and have, talent, come up, train through him and go to WWE again. So shout out to him.
Awesome. I want to give a shout out to our team over in PAX East, because they're sending a lot of really cool information that we're going to be able to put up on Proven Gamer when they get back. We're going to write some articles, some previews. So look forward to that. I want to give a shout out to you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for doing this on Saturday so I could be a part of it. Really appreciate that. Sundays are very hard for me, and typically that's when we record, so I'm glad I could be a part of it. Shout out to wrestling, the greatest time of the year. It's the Christmas of the wrestling season. It's great. Can't wait. Shout out specifically to my partner in crime over on NDS, Andy, who has been working his ass off, getting us guests on Nintendo Dual Screens, all sorts of indie devs. He's networking like a maniac over there at PAX East, and I'm really excited for what we have going on. So just a shameless shilling of the show. If you haven't checked it out, we have some really, really, really good stuff coming up in the pipeline in the next couple of months. So please to enjoy. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate that. And Alex, I will kick it to you for the goodbyes.
So that is going to bring us to the end of the show for this week. Thank you all very much for joining us yet again, and we will see you for episode 243 as we inch so close to episode 350 of Trophy Horrors. But until next week, guys, happy trophy hunting.
Peace out.
Be excellent to each other.
Save your last words, then read on me this. Save your last words. Save your last words, then read on me this. Save your last words, then read on me this. Save your last words, then read on me this. Save your last words, then read on me this.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.